The phone call lasted just 17 seconds. Your daughter has 20 days to leave our house. We're expecting a real child now. Click. His voice was clipped, soaked in that smug, manicured arrogance that clings to men who believe their money makes them moral. He hung up like I was some unwanted caller, not the father of the girl he'd just tossed aside like a guest who'd overstayed her welcome. For 5 seconds, I sat perfectly still. No breath, no movement, just the echo of his words ricocheting inside my skull. Then I reached for my phone again. My voice was steady when I called my lawyer. "It's time," I said. "Activate the clause." I was 24 when I first met Miranda, fresh out of the academy, broke, ambitious, proud. She came from a world I didn't belong to, the kind of world with driveways longer than most streets, where family portraits hung in gilded frames and smiles were more performance than emotion. Her laugh was magnetic, and I, naive, mistook her curiosity for care. 2 years later, Sophie was born. She changed everything. She had my eyes, my quiet stubbornness, and her mother's dazzling smile back when it still meant something. When Miranda left, she tried to take everything with her, full custody, control, the upper hand. She threw cash at attorneys like it was sport, expecting to bankrupt me into submission. She underestimated me. The judge didn't. He saw through her tactics and granted us shared custody. Still, Sophie leaned toward her mother's world. The house was bigger, the fridge always full, and there were soft rugs in every room. I never blamed her for wanting comfort. Children don't quantify love in inches or words, they seek warmth. And sometimes warmth hides in privilege. Then came Darren, or, as Sophie called him, the stiff. Everything about him was pressed and polished, his handshake limp, his eyes dismissive. A man who measured others by income brackets and dismissed me like I was a temporary inconvenience in his otherwise curated life. He tolerated Sophie, but only barely. The change came slowly, like a leak beneath the floorboards. Sophie began packing her own lunches. "Darren doesn't like when I snack," she said. Then her books started disappearing, not misplaced, confiscated. "Too many fantasy stories make girls unrealistic," he declared one night at pickup, as if literature was a virus. I said nothing, but I remembered everything. Then came the therapy sessions. One night, she cried in my truck. Darren had told her she wasn't his real family, that she should be grateful he allowed her to live under his roof. I bought her ice cream and held back fury, telling her monsters only win when we believe their lies. From that moment, I began building cameras outside my home, a journal updated daily, detailed notes, dates, words, patterns, everything. Not for court, not yet, but for clarity, for proof, if not to the world, then at least to myself that I wasn't imagining it. I memorized our custody agreement like scripture, and on page 17, there it was, the line I'd insisted my attorney insert years ago. A clause, one that stated that if the child was removed from her residence without advance notice, or the father being given the right to accept primary care, custody would be immediately reviewed, with preference toward the father. Miranda had skimmed it, confident in her power. She hadn't seen it then, but she'd feel it now. 20 days. That's what he gave my daughter like she was clutter in the guest room. Miranda hadn't even made the call herself. She let him wield the axe. Her silence screamed louder than any words could. But mine was colder. Mine was final. Within 48 hours, my lawyer filed the motion. Emergency hearing. Full temporary custody. That clause, highlighted in bold red, Darren's email, printed and presented. "We're expecting a real child now, Exhibit A." I picked Sophie up that Friday like it was any other weekend. She didn't know a storm was forming behind the scenes. I made her pancakes, let her sleep late. We spent hours. At the bookstore, I promised she could choose any 3 books she wanted, no price limit. That night, her smile returned, not the tired, polite one she wore like armor, but the real one, the one that reached her eyes. The hearing was set for Tuesday. They didn't see it coming. Miranda walked in first, Darren beside her, his arm looped around hers like a leash. She still looked polished, but her eyes, there was something brittle in them now. Paul laid out our case with precision. The clause, Sophie's emotional safety, documented neglect. Then I stood and handed the judge a folder, photos, time-stamped notes, quotes, text messages, a copy of Darren's email, drawings Sophie had made. One labeled Dad's house, safe. Another, Mom's house, quiet, cold. The judge read in silence, flipping slowly through the pages. Then came the verdict. Temporary full custody granted to the father, effective immediately. He said, voice measured, the agreement's terms are clear. A review will be conducted in 90 days to assess the child's well-being. I didn't look at Miranda, but I heard her breath catch. Darren's jaw tensed, but he stayed silent. He didn't need to speak. The rage on his face was loud enough. That week, Sophie moved in for good. Her room was already ready. It had been for months. I didn't make a scene. No announcements. No online declarations. True justice doesn't come with applause. It settles quietly, a stillness after the storm. But I did send one small message, a box, inside, a single baby, rattle, and a note. Make sure your real child doesn't learn to read. They might find out what kind of man you are. A few days later, Miranda called. I let it ring once. Then I blocked her. She'd made her choice, and choices carry weight. That night, Sophie asked if she could repaint her room. Of course, I said yes. She chose a soft green and added glow-in-the-dark stars to the ceiling. Her books now spill over shelves. She laughs again, eats without fear. She stays up reading, whispering stories to herself beneath blankets. She's safe. I don't need her thanks. I don't need recognition. I don't even need to hear her say she's happy. I only need the sound of her breathing gently down the hall, the peaceful hum of her life unfolding unburdened. The academy taught me to act only when the case is airtight. It was good advice then. It's better advice now, because the truest revenge is never loud. It's steady, it's quiet, and it lasts